Right, it's been a long time since I made a video. Um, I just wanted to make a video on like the truth behind EVs, or more of what it really is, or what it really is like to own an EV. So I've owned my Tesla Model 3 for about 6 years now. So I basically got the dual motor variant. Um, so far it's been great. It's been good. Dual motor Model 3. And I've got all the packages, autopilot, FSD. And I was one of the early adopters when the supercharger network was not as big as it is now. And I've been able to see all the changes in the UI and the software and everything. I've been able to see everything. So I have a good understanding, and I've driven every Tesla except for the Roadster and obviously the Semi and Cybertruck, but it has not released yet. But all of them, are pretty great cars. They all drive well. I've seen improvements between each, refresh, and the features, the interior designs, exterior designs, software capabilities. I've gotten my computer upgraded to hardware 3, so I got that. I can tell the difference from my retrofit hardware 3 to another 2020 or 2022 Model 3 with hardware 3, vision based LiDAR, vision only models with no LiDAR. I see the difference, and I may have not been vocal by posting videos like the millions of other people that are obviously trying to capitalize on making a Tesla video, throwing it up there, and then all the people trying to run and watch it. But to be honest, what this video is really going to be about is what it's really like to own an EV. So right now I have about 63,000 miles on my car. I did have a few issues with the car when I got it. Nothing major. Just had to replace the front control arm, and I think my window was not winding down. Like when you wind it up, it'll go back down by itself. So that was a fix. All of that was taken under warranty. Didn't change my brakes at all yet. Last service visit, they said the brakes are healthy. They don't really give you a percentage of your brakes, but they're in the healthy range, which that doesn't really tell me much, but the brakes are okay. I saved a lot. Didn't have to pay for gas. Gas savings was a lot. But overall, great car, great EV. And if someone is looking to buy an EV, this is the best one to buy right now. At the time of this video, you probably already know, if you're watching this, that Tesla is looking to, allow all other EVs to charge at their charging stations, and that some EV car makers are making the car with the Tesla charging port. I think it's North American Standard, or whatever the acronym is for. They're using that as a proprietary you know the word I'm trying to say. I can't say it right now. But as the main charging port for the car. So that's all great, because now superchargers is in every state, almost every state, along all the highways. Most highways you can get them at the mall, whoever. But that intro is basically for the people who, really don't know too much about the EVs or Tesla or what's going on with Tesla. If you're watching this video, you probably already do know these things, but I'm just going over it real quick, easy. If you don't know, you can do a quick Google, and I'm sure there's thousands and millions of other videos out there you can watch. So this is going to be the only video that's going to tell you the truth on what it's like to own an EV. And I have the history and the miles driven, and I've traveled to different states and to Canada in this vehicle multiple times. Long distances, over 10 hours of driving. Okay? I know what it's like. So, everybody thinks that EVs are going to take over the world by storm. Oh, it's the big future. It's the next big thing. Okay. When I bought my car, I bought the dual motor, long range Model 3. It came with 315 miles. Now, the only time I seen 315 was the day I drove off the lot. When I drove off the lot, it was like 314 and it was still trickle charging. Like barely trying to get to 315. By the time I finished all the paperwork and I signed and the key was handed over to me, during delivery day, I was sitting in the car looking around. At that time, you had to look around your car to make sure that there was no build quality issues and problems and that they would fix it. And I sat in there and I saw my percentage go to 315. Okay? From that day, I've never seen 315 again. The closest I've seen was 310 after that day, and then it's been downhill ever since. Right now, I get a total of 277 miles of range on a full charge. Now, see what happened to all the extra, 40 miles and all that extra mileage that you lost. It's gone. I'll never get it back again. And even though you recalibrate your battery, I've done it already. The most I've got was 305 or something like that, around 30 something. So I'm never going to get that again. So I'm not even worried about doing a recount and all of that. That's really not that important, because you should really keep your battery on percentage. The mileage is just a estimate of range. It doesn't really dictate or take into account elevation, wind, temperature, cabin usage. It doesn't take an account of those things. So that being said, let's get to the real meat and potatoes. I don't think EVs are going to take off as well as they think that it is, because until we can have vehicles or EVs that can go a distance of 400 miles, it's just not happening. Yes, we have the Lucid Air, and we have, the Model S variants that go 400 miles. At least some of them do, because now Tesla switched over to the newer batteries. I think it's called the 4680 batteries. The range is actually decreased. And yes, it's a new battery, and they have to do more testing. It seems like Tesla likes to put the batteries in the cars and then have the drivers or the buyers, the customers drive the vehicle, and they collect the data, and then they can better, fine-tune the battery usage of the car, and then through a software update, boom, give you more mileage. So, but there's I think it's a 2160s or 2180s, the batteries before the newer cells. Some Model S's were getting 400 miles, 415 miles, 410 miles. Until all Teslas can do that, or all EVs can do that at a very reasonable cost, that's when the switch will happen. But for right now, I see the EV makers, car makers, prioritizing the mileage with the price. Oh, you want 500 miles or 400 miles? You have to pay, this amount of money. Oh, 60,000, 80,000. And you're like, yo, I can drive a Camry and get 330 miles. Or I can drive a Chevy Volt and get, 450 miles with EV and gas. Why would I spend such a high premium on an EV where I don't even get the actual mileage? So what I'm saying is, the newer Teslas, they give you, say, 330, right? You get 330 miles. So you go on a road trip, you're driving 330 miles is not what you're going to get realistically. You're probably, I say, automatically shave off 30 miles. You're getting 300 miles, right? And I'm saying use that 30 miles as your mark to say, okay, factor in degradation, factor in cabin usage, factor in elevation, factor in weather, factor in, wind and all of the other elements that play a role in, driving to your destination. Factor in the weight that you're carrying if you're traveling with other people, if you're towing something. That range is gone through the window, and I feel like that's kind of why people don't want to get an EV, and that's why I think hybrids are actually going to be the real future, both gas and electric. If you can get an electric vehicle that gives you 100 miles on electric or 150 miles on electric and a full tank of gas, that's the real win. Because if your regular daily commute is 60 miles, you're good. You're golden. You may use a little bit of gas, or if you're driving more than 60 miles in a day, but you're winning. Like, that's a major savings. And right now, a lot of people don't understand. And a perfect example is the Ford F-150 Lightning buyers. A lot of people are trading in their truck now because you're saying 250 miles. Where the hell can you really go with that? Think about it. I said already to subtract 300 miles off of that. So you already have 220. Call it 220 miles. 220 miles. So, and another thing you got to factor in is, like, you're driving here, you're going there, you're loading things, your mileage is just going to decrease, and you have to charge like every day. And if you don't have a charger at home, it's more of an inconvenience. You got to go find a charger, go somewhere, sit down for a half an hour. It may not be a fast charger. The charger you're going to may not even be available. They may be a line. And this is if you don't have a Tesla. So it's like a lot of things are kind of like being very, negative towards EVs in that sense, because people don't want to wait. People don't want to do these things. But again, this is new and it's changing. But until we can get vehicles that give you 400 miles off the bat, then I see it going somewhere. Now, the whole major incentive is that, it's so much cheaper than gas. Realistically, I feel like it's kind of the same. Because whenever I go to a supercharger, I'm paying about $15 for that charging session. And that's the charge from wherever I'm at. Maybe usually it's, it could be below 50% of the battery. So let's say from 30 to 80. I usually charge up to 80% or 90%. So it can get me through a couple of days. But I'm finding that you're paying $15, $15. You could easily charge 3 times out of the week. Obviously, it depends on how much you drive, but I drive, everywhere I go, 90% of the time I'm gonna drive, or 95% of the time I'm gonna drive. So I drive my car a lot, and I feel like I'm paying a lot in superchargers. I would be paying a lot in supercharging sessions, but I have a charger at home, so it makes it easier for me. I live in New York City, and obviously not everywhere, not every house, and almost a lot of apartments do not have chargers available, but a lot of things are to the point where you have to pay by the minute and by how much kilowatt your car is. So there's like a whole pricing tier, which makes it even more expensive for someone to charge their car. You know what I'm saying? So it's a bit inconvenient, and that kind of pushes people away from getting into it because it gets so complicated. It's like, you know what, screw it, I'll just pay $40, $50, get my tank full in 3 minutes, and then be able to leave. I'd rather just have that convenience. Right now, it's gonna take people a while to understand how to, I gotta charge my car for the weekend because I'm gonna go for a long drive, or before I leave, and even if you don't have a charger at home, you would have to go to a supercharger, charge it, and then go on your way. All the time, people are like, you have to stay at the charger for half an hour, for 15 minutes, or 20 minutes. People think in their head, oh man, that's so long. Realistically, it's kind of fast. It goes by quicker than you think. And, with the batteries preconditioning itself, when you get there, estimation is usually shorter, unless the supercharger is crowded. So, I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions about it, and people don't really want to take that risk. Because if I didn't buy this car, I was getting the Ford Mustang GT, and I know I would be kicking myself right now because 1, I'll be driving in traffic, 2, it'll be manual, and 3, I'll be paying gas off the wazoo. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad I didn't make that choice. Happy with this car. Done a lot of stuff to the car so far, and more. Haven't even shown my car on my channel, but I feel like it'll be some time for EVs to really make sense. But right now, I feel like the government and everyone's trying to push this, clean energy, EV this, EV that, to really get people to jump on. Federal tax credit, getting these credits so people can jump on, but your mileage is horrible. So until an EV can give you a solid 400 miles, or what I would say a solid 330 miles, you're golden. So advertise it as 4, but you're really getting 330. So if they're telling you you're getting 330, you're really getting 300. That's the real truth that nobody wants to speak about. Even people who are towing on their Ford F-150 Lightnings, they're complaining and saying, they're only getting 100 miles of towing. That's horrible for people that live in like the South, and like Alabama and Georgia and Carolinas, Pennsylvania, where pickup trucks are popular. People are carrying, wood and tools and all this extra weight, and towing other vehicles and trailers. You're only getting 100 miles, so you'd have to, and if you're going long distance, you'd have to stop at the charger, find it, unhook, boom, latch on, charge, wait, then do all of that every 100 miles. Let's say I'm towing a car from New York to Maryland. I'm gonna have to stop every 100 miles. You know how inconvenient that is, when I can just throw it in the gas. And I would have to fuel up more gas, but it's less inconvenient because it will last longer, and my refuel time is quick, and I don't have to unhook my trailer to fill up. Obviously, depending on how big it is. So there's a lot of these things that go into play, and I just feel that, you know, right now, EVs have a long way to go. They have a long way to go. Eventually, they'll get there, but if you're buying a vehicle now, I would suggest getting a hybrid where you can use both electric and gas, or both, or combine, where you can save money that way. Because right now, if you don't have a charger at your house, owning an EV does not make any sense. So for cities like New York, yeah, there's chargers everywhere, there's this, that, everywhere. But wait until you have to find parking on the street, and oh, you want to charge your vehicle before you leave tomorrow. You leave your parking spot, go charge your car, boom, you just lost your parking spot near your house. So now you're gonna have to drive back home, circle around the block for so many hours to get your parking spot. I live in the city. You could say New York State is going to be a different situation. Long Island can be a different situation. But as far as the city, which they're really trying to push for, you know, being more environmentally friendly, cleaner air, and all of that nonsense, then it's not really feasible. And they don't have charges on the sidewalk, many charges on the sidewalk. I've probably only seen like maybe 4 in my neighborhood, and I'm in Brooklyn. So, and I'm not in like a rural part of Brooklyn where it's like more resident. I'm in a densely populated part of Brooklyn. So it's very, people like to throw all of these things out, but when you actually have one, you can actually see where it really makes sense. And right now, if you live in a city, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to buy an EV right now, especially with the prices. Prices are ridiculous. A lot of people are throwing the tax credit incentive for you to just buy it. But I would say if you're looking to buy an EV, hold out. Wait until the 400-mile variants come out. Wait until the price goes down, because everyone's trying to grab it. Everyone thinks it's good, but it's really not. It's not ready yet. There's potential. Okay, I'm not saying that, EVs are a no-go, it's a waste of money. Just right now is too early. Yes, all the features, all the, it just looks cool, the design. If you really want to try an EV, rent one. Rent it, drive it, and you'll understand or get a glimpse of what it really is like to own an EV. And then you just think, I'm on vacation, I'm renting a Tesla, a Model Y. Oh, I gotta charge it. Oh, how do I do this? Oh, it works with the app, blah, blah, blah. You get through. Oh yeah, this is cool. Autopilot, this, that, and the third. I'm sure when you get out of it, you're gonna say, wow, it's nice. But you're gonna say, I wish the charging was faster. I wish it was more available for me, that I don't have to drive out to a supercharger or drive to a mall to pay parking in the mall and then have to pay to charge the car. Like, people don't realize these things yet. You go to the mall, you have to pay for the parking in the mall, and you have to pay for the charging for Tesla. So what you're really paying, if I'm paying $15, it takes me, 30 minutes. That could be $17. Adding $2 more on top of that. Or some places be $5. So it all kind of depends on where you're at, and it just it really just costs you. And then you do the math, you're maybe what, $2-3 less than filling up your tank at the gas at the pump. Some people paying $40, people paying $30. and you could pay up to 22, $25 on a charging session. So it's almost like, what am I really saving cost wise, other than the maintenance and all that other stuff that has a factor, but in the pure refueling the car and um, you know getting it the time it takes to refuel it or recharge it, it's a major trade-off. But honestly, if you live in the city, it doesn't work. Hybrids are for the city. Any metropolitan area, I'd say, is for hybrids. Suburban, rural suburban areas, definitely go EV, because 9 times out of 10 you'll have a charger at home, which will only make sense. Right? If you have an EV and you have a whole house with a driveway and you don't have a charger, you're just shooting yourself in the foot, because you're gonna take miles to travel to a supercharger, unless you're lucky and you live 3 miles away from one. Drive miles to a supercharger to charge, to drive miles back again, to then the next day or later on drive out again. You see what I'm saying? So it kind of doesn't really make sense, but I love my car. I like electric vehicles, you know, and not just Teslas. I like all types of EVs. I'm excited to see where the future is going to go for EVs, and I'm going to remain optimistic. I'm going to remain optimistic. The cars can only get better. Charging can only get faster. Batteries can only improve. But it's very early. It's very, very early. Just think about it as like when the first combustion engine was made and put in a vehicle. They had to go and wind them up to start it, to crank it on. You gotta think about, EVs are going through that same phase. EVs are going through that same phase right now. Guys, I'm in New York, so just know you guys are gonna hear a lot of horns and maybe people yelling at each other. But yeah. So it's gonna take some time. It's just gotta be patient. Hold on to your pockets, and it's actually good to wait, because you can save more money and have more options when the time comes to buy. Right now you only have Tesla, Nissan, all the major guys. They're making vehicles, but they're all making their vehicles in a rush to compete with Tesla. The only real one out there that's not rushing is Lucid, and their vehicle is beautiful. It's really nice, but it's really expensive. So it's like, if you have the money, definitely buy that. If not, just get a beater, a nice little Corolla, or a little Accord or Civic, and just rock out with that, or a little Nissan Versa. Lay low. Those are good cars. Lay low. A Honda Pilot, or the CRV, HRVs. Can even get the Ford F-150s. Those are great cars, great trucks. Just hold out, and then when the time comes, cash in, do your trade-in, get the incentive. If there's no incentive, don't worry about it, because the incentive is only just for you to buy the car. Just get it, and just wait. You gotta be patient. I bought mine because I was really thinking, yeah, I got the incentive, which was great. I got the full 75 tax credit. But what people don't like to tell you is, when you were buying the car, Tesla forces you a minimum down payment, I believe, of $7,000. I think at the time they were doing a minimum down payment of $7,000. So basically, you're giving them the 7 and then you're gonna get back the 7 later on during tax season, which was just like, okay, so I just got my money back. So yeah, you really just you got the 7, right? But it's a here's it and you give it back to me. Like you gotta have it now, you get it back later. That's how it kind of was. So yeah, um, there's a lot of schemes and gimmicks that people don't really highlight and air out to a lot of viewers like you. But I'm not here to just sit down and expose companies and expose people. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to be real so that when you get there, you know what it's like, or you have an idea of the situation, and you can better make a decision on what you want. Because at the end of the day, everybody's trying to save. Unless you're a millionaire, you don't care. You can buy anything. You wouldn't even be watching this video anyway. But what I'm really trying to say is this is a real review, real quick review on what it's like to own an EV. You know what I'm saying? Look at this. I don't understand these people. Why would you do that? Anyway, what it's really like to own an EV. So, just a couple tricks, hints, and guidelines for y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. This was like 30 minutes. I don't think that's too bad. I kind of ran it on in the beginning, but I'm gonna try to post more videos, maybe talk about EVs more, or talk about other topics outside of cars, stuff like that. But if you like the video, like it, subscribe. You know, it doesn't cost you a thing, and honestly, I don't really care if you do or not. I'm still gonna voice my opinion on what I want. But thanks for watching, and maybe I should do this more often since I have such a long commute. But yeah, see you in the next video.